through both
Enjoy
notebooks.
throughout the cast.
I went through both notebooks this morning. We covered some shit.
I know.
We've covered some.
I've got 2 notebooks.
Some real
Because I
good
switched
shit.
halfway through. Yeah.
And you guys know what's crazy? Like, not... I think it'll be like...
Excuse me.
You're good. I think it'll be like 2 episodes. In 2 episodes, it'll be 2 years since the first episode came out.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, not the next one, but the one after that will come out like 3 days prior to like the 2 year to the day.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Damn, it's been 2 years.
Yeah. March 12th, 22. Was when the first episode got posted.
The first episode.
The first ever. The first ever. But, the first episode of what? The first episode of Whatchu Spinnin, obviously. Shit. It's episode 65, though. That's long gone. First episode's long gone, clearly. We were just kind of mentioning 2 years is almost around the bend. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Dorian, as always joined by Jake and Matt. We're here in the Table Factory, the empty table stadium, having a grand old time. Sun's peeking out for the first time in a couple of days. So
It is. It's nice. Mm-hmm. I see blue sky.
I see skies and green, red roses, But how you guys doing?
Good, man.
I'm doing good. I'm glad we're in person, hanging out.
Oh yeah,
Just talking about music.
Jake.
Another great pick by all of us this week.
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel like every time we get together, we always pick different albums. Sometimes we'll get on the same genre, but like, I can't remember the one that happened last. I feel like since we always just pick different things.
yeah.
And I love that.
I think like really since the hip hop bracket, we haven't
that's true, yeah.
all 3 of us definitely haven't picked the same thing. But it's like
I think it inspired us a little bit.
yeah, and I think also it's like it's very rare that like 2 of us will have something similar-ish, not like the exact same genre, but like you did Fugazi and that inspired me to do fucking Dead Kennedys and blah blah blah. So, but no, you're right. Great picks today. I'm super stoked to get into that. But let's hold off on that for a second. Y'all listening to anything that you want to talk about? What
about you, Jake?
Not really. A lot. Just a lot of music in general. These picks, since we've like had 2 weeks to listen to it, or before we were doing just a week, it gives me time to listen to other things throughout the first week that I do it. But I've just gone straight into this whole 2 weeks just with these albums, and I've appreciated them a lot.
Yeah.
So really not a whole lot. I've
Okay.
really just dedicated to these. I feel like I've gotten familiar with a lot of them. Apart from that, I mean, in music news, the Grammys happened.
The Grammys did happen.
What did we think about that? I mean, I didn't watch for
I didn't
sure.
watch it either,
I don't. I feel like no one watches, but
No, I didn't.
I think if you're in a lot of the mainstream music, the radio friendly music, like that's something you'd watch and like be like be able to interpret and like talk about. Like
Right.
I can't talk about because I don't know any of that.
Yeah. Well, so
I'm not trying to be a snob. I'm just saying I don't listen to the radio.
no.
That's all.
Right, and that I'm in the same boat, but there's also like even stuff that like I feel like we covered on the podcast this in 2023, like those albums that came out. Like I looked through like the nominations, and Taking Back to Eden by Sleep Token didn't get nominated for anything.
Of course
I
it
saw
did.
that.
And I was like, that was
Definitely
huge.
should've.
I was like, that album was huge. Like I feel like Joe Schmo down on the corner like at least knew The Summoning, I was like, at least that song. I like literally was scrolling through. I was like, of course The Summoning's gonna get like best hard rock performance or some shit. And I was like, not even. The only thing I saw that I was like could be like, oh, I remember I heard something off of that was like Fred Again got a nomination, but I don't
the
think
new
won
album?
anything.
For the Brian Eno one. I mean, it's a great album.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got an award. Fred again got an award. Some notable ones that I saw also was Paramore. They won an award for something, which I thought was cool. And then hip hop, Killer Mike. Killer Mike won, I think, best album for hip hop, which was cool. I didn't listen to Michael that much.
It was good.
But the songs that I did listen to were good. Like
Yeah.
with Andre 3000.
Yeah, that was a banger.
Yeah, there was some really good stuff on there. But yeah, I was like, okay, like I never really pay attention to the Grammys anyways. But when they come out, I just kind of puts me into perspective what other people listen to, but not really.
Yeah.
I feel like so.
Right.
I thought that was neat.
And I respect all those musicians. They're all, great at their craft and obviously doing what they need to do. But like, Metallica, Jethro Tull.
I mean, the Metallica thing was nuts. I mean, someone's gotta fucking say it.
I think that's why we don't like the Grammys. Like,
it's like, well, and then also the reason why I don't like it is because I'm still pissed on behalf of Kendrick Lamar losing to
another great example. Yeah,
losing to
all these
Macklemore and
examples,
Taylor Swift. You're talking, Good Kid, Mad City, and To Pimp a Butterfly lost to 2 dog shit albums. Like, I mean, come on. But
this one too, like everyone liked Kings of Thieves 3 and Utopia, and they gave it a Killer Mike, which I think definitely deserving.
Right.
It was interesting also how online, like, somehow no one knew who Killer Mike was. It's like, how do you not know who the fuck Killer Mike is, dude?
It's
jump
like,
off a bridge.
It's
Get out
like
of here.
you say you're a hip hop fan, but you don't know
You're not.
who Killer Mike is and
Run the Jewels
and all
Like
this.
you're
like,
not
it's
into
like,
hip hop. Like, come on. Like, you can say that.
they're like, oh, Travis Scott should have went. It's like,
I don't
know.
know
If you're not
about that.
saying the Kings of D's album and then Michael and then it's like, come on.
Yeah, there's
Travis Scott.
that wasn't even his best album in my opinion, Travis Scott's. But
No.
I mean, yeah, there's just a lot of whack stuff.
I think it's I never
It comes out. It's the same thing with like a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
Like some of the bands that are like inducted, like they don't want to be there.
yeah,
They shouldn't be there. Rock and roll. What does that have to do with hip hop? Like, have a hip hop Hall of Fame. Like,
Right.
To conglomerate it and put it in one category is stupid.
yeah, for sure it is. It doesn't. That is a great point too.
You need to appreciate each genre for what it is. Rock and roll is not hip hop.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing.
It's like I love.
Most Def told us that already.
Yeah,
Fucking get out of here.
yeah. I love Lauryn Hill. I love fucking Run DMC. They're not like, and I love the songs or the song that Run DMC did with Aerosmith. They're not rock and roll.
Yeah.
They don't belong in the
Yeah,
rock
Nine
and
Inch
roll.
Nails does not belong not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame at all.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
Yeah,
That's weird.
Yeah. I always think it's interesting. I never pay attention to the Grammys, but it's just interesting to see what they come up with. It's like how it's like, oh, Taylor Swift won her 20th Grammy in the last 2 years. Oh, sick, cool.
And then there is always like a sleeper thing like that, like out of the albums that came out, Michael by Killer Mike won, and then it's like out of all the songs, like an almost deep cut Zach Bryan song off of his latest album won like the country thing of the year, and I was like, man, fucking respect. Like,
It's sad to say that it comes out of album sales and like money, and like that's why you just said your example of Taylor Swift, like it's all about the money and like how many people listen to that song and like over and over. It's like that doesn't generate the appreciation for the music and like what it is as an art form.
Yeah, and ultimately, like, people are gonna listen to what they want to listen to.
Yeah.
So the Grammys, it really, for a lot of people, I feel like has really just swept under the rug because no one really either A, pays attention or B, respects it, because it's in a way it's like it's not really what music's about. It's not about trying to win that, because
It's not a competition.
Yeah.
no.
You need to express yourself, show your craft, send your message, and like be who you are.
Yeah. And that's like,
It's not a competition at all. It shouldn't be.
No.
But it is.
It is, unfortunately.
It's it's all about that.
It's a money grab.
Well, and to touch on your point, like the be who you are, like what I used to watch the Grammys for was the performances, because there would be
some good ones. I remember watching Faith No More and like other bands like that.
Yeah. And not to bring him up again, but like for recency bias, like Kendrick Lamar used to perform at like every Grammys, it felt like, and his performances were all just insanely like telling and all this other stuff. But then it's like the last decade almost, like it's just every year is just a slow decline on like who's even performing there, what songs they're performing there. It's like, I don't know, man. Pandemic ruined a lot of shit. God damn it.
Well, little did you know we talk about the Grammys at all.
Yeah.
Like,
We haven't.
now you know how we feel about modern day music.
Mm-hmm. We actually, we don't really touch on that a lot.
We
so
don't.
I'm glad we.
And I think that's why we do this podcast. You know, to let people know about other music that's out there.
Right.
Definitely.
That's important, that's relevant, that means the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Just because they're not buying it and, you know, selling millions of dollars and, you know, platinum gold, like, who cares?
So speaking of music that matters, I kind of asked you guys that to set myself up for this. I just randomly did like shuffle all of my liked music on Spotify on the way home last night. Little song by the name of H by Tool came on. I don't think I've heard that in like 5 months. Holy shit, man. And then I listened to Enema, like I went home and listened to Enema a little bit. God damn, what an album. Shout out episode 4 of the pod, or episode 3 or 4.
I wish I could have been there.
Somewhere in there. But yeah, man, Enema. I was just like, God damn this album, dude. Listen to it a little bit this morning, you know, in the shower. Yeah. Just the fucking I Don't Mind at the end of H.
Every now and again, like, revisits just come up when I do shuffle, just like a gem that I liked and I haven't heard again in months, or something that we covered that we haven't talked about in months. That always feels good. So, hell yeah.
We do love that. Any other stuff we want to talk about?
We've rambled about the Grammys and how much we hate mainstream music. It's time to talk about good music.
Let's go ahead and do it. So to start that off, we've got Jake's pick, which I'm pretty interested to talk about. So what you got for us, big guy?
So
Don't be a nerd. Please don't be a nerd. Please.
Nerd.
It's N.E.R.D. In Search Of. Came out in 2002 when it was actually worldwide released. It's Pharrell Williams, Chad Hugo, and their friend Shay Haley, or Shade. It was like a side project that Pharrell and Chad were doing besides the Neptunes. Just kind of something that they could do and just be different to what their production side was doing. A lot more instrumentation. They have a backing band. Later on in their career with N.E.R.D, they would, you know, play their own instruments. But yeah, I've been listening to this for a while now. So what are your guys' thoughts?
I was gonna say, like, you've been a fan of this, of like, you were super hyped about this last week. Like, first of all, how did you stumble onto it, and like, why are you such a fan? Like, what makes you so happy?
Yeah, so when I first heard of this, I heard Rockstar, and it was
That's a good track.
It was on GarageBand.
Okay.
Or sorry, Rock Band, the one that's not Guitar Hero.
Rock Band. Yeah.
Rock Band, yeah, it was on Rock Band, as like an additional song that you can get. And me and my friend Diego in middle school, we would play it like all the time. That was that was one of our go-to songs. And like it was just super catchy, and I liked the guitar riff, and I never knew who it was by or what it was.
Right.
And then a couple years down the line, like, I get reintroduced to N.E.R.D. and Pharrell Williams with like what he was doing with Daft Punk. So then I went into it again, really just went down a rabbit hole of getting into all their stuff with Clips and you know, all their other stuff with other you know, artists. So that's kind of that was my intro to it. So yeah, I've had a lot of time and appreciation with these guys.
I was just curious because I know you like Pharrell.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is very. It's interesting. I think that, like, shout out to you, like, how you managed to bring up the Neptunes prior to this. I think that was like a good tease into this, because, you know, they had those like rock-esque acts on that album on Clones.
Didn't they? Like, wasn't N.E.R.D on that too?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. You're right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then they're like, okay, here, you were like, here's a little tease of this, and I was like, I was enamored by that. I was like, that's really interesting. Like, Pharrell behind like this, you know,
like
urban,
rock. like a rock. I don't picture Pharrell behind like a rock album at all.
No,
nothing to say against him, but like that's not what I know of him.
Right, but it works so well.
Yeah, it works.
Hey, I love it, and hearing like everywhere that this goes, you know, and also it like Run to the Sun has like aspects of like the keys on that remind me of shit off of that Internet album we just covered, and I'm like, damn, like this is like a very Jacob album. It's like the most Jacob album we've had in a while, and I think that's hilarious.
Yeah, because it has like aspects of everything. Like, you know, it's got some hip hop. It's kind of like trying to bridge hip hop with rock in a sense.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too because when they first released this in 2001, they released it in Europe. And it was just producer sounding, so it was just pretty much them three, but not with the rock, not with the band in the background. So
that'd be cool,
it sounded very different
to
what this album actually is.
Okay. I wonder if there's a copy of that out there.
Yeah, you can listen to it online. The singles on everything, like they don't have, you know, the guitar riffs and the drums. They just have, like, it's more production based because that's what they were doing. You know?
Yeah, no, I get that.
So with this, they were trying to be different, and that's when Spy Mob, their backing band that was actually on Clones too, they came in and they helped with the instrumentation side of it. So that's how, when they actually released this in 2002, it was like a Spy Mob with, like, you know, Neptunes pretty much, and then with Shade. So that's how this album like came to be. And it sounds a lot better, I think, with the rock because it's a lot more experimental. It's different.
It's different.
It
is different. It blends both genres together for sure. I think musically it's amazing. Like I feel like they're able to incorporate the guitar and the drums, like you said, with the hip hop sound and even the production sound. Lyrically, like it like there's some good lyrics, but I think Pharrell is so like female oriented throughout the whole album. Not a bad thing at all, but like for me, when I picture Pharrell, for me, my introduction to him was Despicable Me.
Yeah.
And Happy.
Yeah.
So, like, listening to Happy, I'm like, coming back to this album, I'm like, damn, that's a dirty motherfucker. Yeah. So it just took me for a spin a little bit, and I was like, wow. Yeah. And it's just I didn't listen to Pharrell when he was coming out, so I don't know him.
Yeah.
And this is a good, like, the Neptunes is a good introduction, and this album too. So it's good to see a different side of him, to see what he's about. Respect him musically, you know, he's a great producer, and this album's, you know, very cool.
Yeah, it is kind of him leaning into like that rock star like songwriting.
Yeah, exactly.
That method of songwriting that's like very Motley Crue, you know, like that,
like just sex, drugs, rock and roll.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like he really
he's more specific than Motley Crue ever was, but
exactly. You know what I'm saying. I mean, he's a little more on the nose. Yeah, he's not exactly tongue in cheek about it. He's tongue in cheek about some other stuff.
I think being able to talk about things that you go through in life, you know, I'm sure he's speaking to situations he's been in before. You know, these are all true things that he's been through. So, you know, being able to put that behind music lyrically, and you know, I think it's a positive thing. It's not a bad thing.
No, it adds another layer of interesting to it. You know, it's like all of this is so well thought out, but then it's like, damn, like he's writing like some crazy dirty stuff over like these well thought out.
You could write that out and be really like grammatically incorrect and like just blatantly rude, and he's not.
Yeah,
at all. I think he's like polite about it, but in a sense dirty about it, but also street about it.
There's a little more nuance to it than just being like, I want to be.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not Two Live Crew at all.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know, it's not
Uncle
that.
Luke.
It's not that at all. Yeah.
And it's cool too.
Face down, ass up. Yeah.
We ain't Two Live Crew.
We ain't doing that.
We see kind of too like their.
Give me some fist bumps.
The Two Live Crew line, dude.
Is that a line? Is that a line they do?
8th grade. It's a song.
That's a song they do.
That's the way we like to put.
Yeah. Yeah.
As nasty as they want to
be. Yep. Exactly.
That's funny.
Okay, we got a tangent there.
That was good. My mom, fun fact, actually real quick, my mom photographed a wedding and like the DJ that they had was playing Two Live Crew and Uncle Luke. My mom was like, what the fuck?
Oh, dude.
Like, y'all know my mom. Like, so she's just like, what the fuck is going on? But it's like, Jesus, damn. But yeah, anyway.
I'd heard of Motley Crue, but never actually listened to them, so.
Hell yeah, check them out. Smoking in the boys' room.
No, I like it too. Also seeing like the timeline of their discography, like this coming out before Neptune, the Clones, because this came out in 2002. That was 2003, and then this was also right after that. Khalees dropped Wonderland, so. We have features from Khalees and Pusha T and Malice.
And they were performing this live as of like 2008, 2010.
Yeah.
So still on stage. Like, that's cool.
That is sick.
Yeah. And like just seeing a different side of like Pharrell.
It is a different side.
It is, yeah, because he's very much, and he's always been very producer heavy, but this is like a different where he's not producing as much because it was just instrumentation and his voice pretty much.
I think he's like speaking from his heart too, and like almost talking about his own life, and like things that he grew up with, you know, whether the way his parents raised him or like just going through life and being with females and all that stuff. Like it's what he went through.
Yeah,
lyrically, it's cool that he was able to put it out there.
I think the song "Run to the Sun" is like a nod to I think one of his grandparents that passed.
Oh wow!
So that was also like kind of deeper in the lyrics. So, but yeah, it's like it's cool. It's poppy. You know, there are other albums that came out after this. Seeing sounds really good. So yeah, definitely just another timeline in Pharrell that I think is notable. And for it being a debut, it's it's very early 2000s still, and kind of has that sound with a little bit of rock in there.
Yeah.
So.
And they kind of do manage to like slip in some stuff that is, the fact that it's a backing band makes it not a sample per se. But like for some reason, anytime I heard Things Are Getting Better, I couldn't like at the very beginning, that drum break that happens, I couldn't help but compare it to Rock With You by Michael Jackson. Like how that song starts out,
Yeah, good point.
Like it has like this same kind of pattern to it, just with like a couple extra hi-hats or something thrown in. But every time I heard it, I was like the first time I heard it, it was so spot on that I was like, what the fuck? Like, did they cover this song? I was like, that'd be sick. But then it wasn't. And I mean, the song itself is great, but that intro to me. And then there's just like sick bass lines like on Run With the Sun or Run to the Sun. Tape You has some good stuff. There's a weird beat switch in Provider. Like that's super sick. Yeah. And then it's just like they just don't mention it again. Like it just happens weirdly in the middle of the song and then goes back to it.
Yep.
And it's like, what? How? What happened there?
Yeah, it's unique what they were doing, and I appreciate it. Because I as much as I love like like metal and rock, with hip hop, many artists have tried combining rock and hip hop, and sometimes it's a hit and miss. And when you hit it right, like when it sounds good, it's it's good.
Yeah.
So 90% of the time, it doesn't sound.
Yeah. The only person that can do it consistently successfully is Tech Nine. It's the only guy who's ever managed to do it like and continue to do it successfully. And even then, it's like that's not for everybody. But like this is the perfect like because it almost because then it's like once you start doing it the way that Pharrell did it on this is you can get like into soul and R&B, with like the Khalees features and everything. It's like the way that this album was set up and everything it was really just set up for success. So shout out. And great pick.
Glad you guys liked it. We can do top threes. So honorable mention, I'd go Am I High? Because I like that No Malice feature. I think it kind of is No Malice. He's trying too hard to rap, I feel like, and it kind of throws off the song for me.
Yeah.
Because it's like kind of feels more rock oriented, but I think that one's honorable mention. Number 3, Truth or Dare. I love that Khalees and Push feature. Number 2, Tape You, and then number 1, Run to the Sun.
Nice. Perfect. Yeah, I'll follow you up. Honorable mention V was Stay Together. Then 3, 2, 1, Brain. I just like the chorus in that. Provider number 2, and I like Run to the Sun. Top pick for sure.
Nice. I'm gonna be kind of similar to you. Honorable mention number 1, Things Are Getting Better. That drum break it hooked me from the jump. Second honorable mention, Tape You. Same reason for him with Brain. I love the chorus on Tape You. Oh, nah. Number 3, Stay Together. Number 2, Provider. And number 1, Run to the Sun. For me, just, banger on that one.
It has everything in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's all in there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's like positioned perfectly, it and Stay Together, like being kind of close together. I'm like, that's like the perfect way to round out the album. Is like those being in the final 4. Mm-hmm. So shout out. That was Jacob's pick for this week with 2002's In Search Of by N.E.R.D. Great Pharrell Williams project. We'll be right back to come to just about a year ago and talk about Matt's pick. We'll be right back. It's Whatchu Spinnin' episode 65. Let's go ahead and move it along.
Hold that thought.
1 second. And time travel. Now spinning. We need like the clacker thing, like on movie sets. Mm-hmm. Take 2. Let's go ahead and time travel from 2002 to 2023 with my main man Matt's pick for this week. What you got, man?
You want to know? I went back to an earlier pick I first picked when I joined the cast. Depeche Mode, Memento Mori from last year, 2023. Probably one of their last albums, maybe. It's just Dave and Martin. Mm-hmm. Fletch passed away before this album was produced. Some of the things that he contributed, I don't know if they were included on the album. So it's kind of like a montage or like a send-off to him. Mm-hmm. This album, for me, like, as far as their catalog goes, they've got a great catalog going back to the early 80s and beyond. I feel like a lot of the albums in the 90s and beyond were not, recognized very well. Mm-hmm. I think this album represents Depeche Mode in a whole, as far as what the sound that they created, and you can hear it on every song on here. It reminds me of Violator a little bit. Mm-hmm. I was impressed for just being them two and a couple other musicians. It's a great album, so I have a lot to say about it. What do you guys think?
I mean, you hit the nail on the head. It's about as Depeche Mode. Like I feel like Violator, if you really think about it, you're correct, because everything after Violator isn't good until you get to this. Mm-hmm. Really, mm-hmm. Like Violator really being the peak of their catalog up until this came out, and even though it's just the two of them, you see them kind of go back to that formula from 1990, and it's kind of funny, like the way that I approach artists like Depeche Mode, and like we just talked, we talked about it, like Metallica and stuff. It's like, when I hear that these like artists that have been around this long, when it's like, hey, they just put out a new album, I'm like, let's go ahead and fucking calm down. Yeah. Let's fucking chill for a second.
You guys have been around for a while.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like it's
got a lot of money.
Everybody's like, go listen to it. I'm like, let's maybe not. Yeah. Like, mm-hmm. We'll see. And this is the complete opposite of that kind of phenomenon that you see with, this is their 15th album or some shit. Yeah. Like, 15th albums aren't this good. Like, it's wild how good this is.
Happen. They don't even get to that many albums in artists. No.
Yeah.
15 albums.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So this album is really just a spectacle to think about. It's like, this is, it's very sad to see, that it is just the two of them left, but the fact that they were able to retain that energy and everything and I was just captivated from the title track, My Cosmos Is Mine. I was just immediately enthralled. I was like, what is this fucking album?
That's a good track to talk about too. We'll go back to that.
Oh, 100% we will. But it immediately, brings you back. It's like, oh, this is Depeche Mode. Like, mm-hmm. This is everything I'm familiar with these guys, but it's a new twist on it. Everything's just a little bit more, there's like a little bit more mystique to it. And, a little bit. And everything. But it is, because it is, it does talk a lot about death, and so it is very cryptic, mm-hmm. and, very haunting, but it's like, at the end of the day, it's a fucking Depeche Mode album. Mm-hmm. And a damn good one at that, in my opinion.
I think, and I feel like a lot of people might agree if they've listened to this and some of their other albums, probably one of their better considering what Violator was. Just because that whole time, and even the one that they did before this that came out like in 2018, 2017, it wasn't that good. I didn't really like it.
It was okay.
I did listen to it, but this one, like, it's a lot more. It kind of feels like they're going back into their roots, but they're still keeping it new. Like, they're not just stuck in that past, because there's a lot that's happened throughout that time. And with recently that passing, I imagine it's got to be hard on them, and for them to even come out with an album after it, I think says a lot.
It really does.
Because for the legacy that they've left behind as a group, it says so much, and the themes and everything, and some of the songs, they sound kind of haunting, but at the end of the day, like, they're just expressing like just that whole journey that they've had,
right?
Everything they've had that they've been doing with Depeche Mode, and it is it's very Depeche Mode album. Everything about it, all the songs, so many songs on here that I kept going back to, like Before We Drown, Never Let Go, Ghosts Again, like a lot of these songs, like very deep meaning, I feel like, looking into the lyrics, but it's very Depeche Mode, and it's very good.
I think Depeche Mode as a band has been, through a lot of different lineup changes. And even before Violator, in 1995 is when Alan Wilder left, which was after Violator. But he was a very important sound in that band. And I think after he left, that changed the dynamic altogether. You get albums like Exciter and like Sounds of the Universe, Playing the Angel, which is a good album. But it's not that sound. So you can definitely feel that difference throughout their progression. Again, coming back to this album, I think it brings it back to the sound of Depeche Mode in a whole. You've got Martin Gore doing vocals again, which is great. And you've got My Cosmos Is Mine, which you brought up, which is talking about the Ukraine war, important things like that. And again, this goes back to like mortality and death and like kind of a dark theme to it. At the same time, Depeche Mode's always been about that. It's not been a like happy, momentous occasion.
Violator doesn't make me feel good when I listen to it.
It's a bleak sound. And it's not a negative thing at all. I think it's more of a relative thing to talk about things that are going on in the world that are not in the United States. Honestly, I think Depeche Mode's very good at that, about talking about everything and just bring it to light and being subtle about it. Like, you don't know unless you dive into lyrics and like look up things, whether it's Personal Jesus being about Elvis Presley, which you wouldn't think about, little things like that, or My Cosmos Is Mine being about the Ukraine war. Like, you wouldn't think about that. So I respect that about Depeche Mode, being more lyrically prevalent than some bands are and talking about real world situations. And just, laying it out there and like being like, hey, we're still here. We're going to make music, And being able to tour with this album too says a lot about that band, and being able to do that at that age, going out night after night. Like, I can't even imagine going out and performing 100% every night, and giving it your all and singing at the level they are, Even David Bowie did that at the end of his career. Like, these guys are amazing musicians, and I don't think they get enough appreciation.
No, they don't. And it's something, I'm glad that you brought up like the age kind of thing, like the fact that they're still doing it to that level, is because I looked into them and like I was looking at pictures of like pre-Violator days, and like Martin Gore looking like a young David Bowie and shit, and being like, dude, this kid was full of like, this kid was just like, these guys were on top of the world, and they were like 23 and they had 2 amazing albums, and they were like 25 years old. It's like, what the fuck?
Crazy.
And then it's like the fact that it's like, by the time that Depeche Mode was like on the average age of 28, they had completely defined an entire sound for like the last half of the 80s. It's like, and then to come back when you're twice that age and completely revisit that sound and recapture it, it's almost like they, when, even though Alan Wilder left, something happened in 1990 where that sound went into a time capsule, and then these two coming back together in 2023, like they managed to access that feel and that energy from, you know, that late 80s, early 90s Depeche Mode era, and put it back out. And it's like, Jesus Christ, like, how did you do it? You guys weren't doing it. You guys weren't doing it this well for so long. And then it's like, they completely changed the narrative of their career, I feel like, with this.
And then making, like, whether it be new fans or bringing old fans back in by the sound, like, it's amazing. Like, I remember going into House of Records and buying the vinyl of this album and being like, this album's good. The owner's like, yeah, this album's actually good. It's not like a Depeche Mode album. It's actually good.
Yeah.
You know, you making new fans is great, you know.
We love it.
And they're, like, constantly still having that hunger to make new music.
Yep.
Like, as
they
much
could just
as,
stop.
they have no reason to keep going.
No, they don't.
Like, with the catalog they have, and, you know,
the royalties and
the
all
way
that,
their name has, like, they have no reason to make music
No.
still. But the fact that they're still doing it says a lot for our favorite artists. Like, if they went away, like, yeah, we'd miss them, but as much as we love them, like, hearing new stuff, it's still refreshing. It's still something new. So
Depeche Mode is the only band that I've ever listened to where I bought every physical copy of everything they've ever, besides vinyl. Like, I bought every CD and, like, everything they've ever released. I've never done that with another artist. I don't know why it's been Depeche Mode, but it's...
Hey man, something about their music does it for me too.
I don't know.
Yeah. Like, I kind of got into them a little later, but yeah, I mean, I don't blame you for that happening to be it.
They pick up on emotions, and they're able to, you know, not capitalize, but, like, they build upon that, and they're able to, like, express that from their own viewpoint.
Right.
You know, relate to the public and be like, yeah, we know what it's like walking in our shoes is a song they sing. Great example of that. Like, yep. That's what it is. So I appreciate that about a band when they can connect with their fans lyrically, musically, and, like, just make it relevant to, like, we're just like you. We're not up here.
Right.
We're right here. We're the same. That's how it should be. Sorry.
No, you're good. It's a very valid point, because it's like, and also to kind of go back to it, is they managed to create kind of their own unique sound back in the day, and just continue to hit on that. And it's like, yeah, something about it, you know, that weird synth that they do, it does kind of make me, it's like, man, this makes me a little bit melancholy. And then the lyrics, it's like, now I'm fully sad. Thanks.
Yeah, no, it can get dark, you know.
but
the heroin addiction that all the band members went through, like, all of that stuff, like, you can feel that. I feel like they're able to relate with the public in that sense. We all go through our own, you know, battles with addiction or demons or life changes, and, like, I feel like lyrically they were able to showcase that throughout their career, and I appreciate that about a band where they're able to just connect with their fans and keep it relative and not be.
Not be too disconnected from,
Thank you,
like, the average Joe, to kind of say it that way. You know, like, they still, you know, they might have been on top of the world at one point. They're kind of older, but, you know, they can still write a good song about heartbreak or losing a good friend. You know, so shout out to
talk
Depeche
about
Mode.
relevant topics like a war going on in the world.
Yeah, like, and the fact that that's both of those things are very well represented on this album is really something to appreciate. So hell yeah, I'm glad that I was forced to listen to this, because I don't know if I would have otherwise, you know. So thank you.
Top 3 though?
That's if you would like to, let's go ahead.
Starting with honorable mention, we've talked about this song a few times. My Cosmos Is Mine, just because the message behind it and being a title track, just good. Number 3, Before We Drown. I feel like that is Depeche Mode to a T. Like,
100%.
if you were to take that song and put it back to 1999 Violator, it would fit that album just as well. Number 2, I like Martin Gore. I like his vocals on some of the songs he's done. So Soul With Me. And then number 1, People Are Good. That beat is just so good.
Oh yeah,
and that, it's a good point too. Like the whole lyric message behind that song. It's like, there it is. And
like the half breakdown that it does, that heaven help me, that just gets me I love that part of it. So I do agree with you there. Honorable mentions for me are It Was Always You, or Always You, and then People Are Good, second honorable mention. Number 3, Never Let Me Go, fantastic. Number 2, My Cosmos Is Mine. Just that part where it just repeats, no war, no fear. Like, it's just, that's that kind of haunting Jack Skellington kind of energy that I love. And the number one, Ghost Again. He's still got fucking pipes like he did back in the day, man. That vocal performance on that song is something else. It's
Shout out, man.
Yeah, shout out. Yeah.
Yeah, honorable mention, People Are Good.
Mm-hmm.
And then we didn't talk about it, but Waging Tongue. I really like that song too.
We didn't talk about that at all.
Mm-hmm. And then top 3, Never Let Me Go, Before We Drown, and then Ghost Again too. That was my favorite song.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Ghost Again, fantastic track. Loved it. And yeah, the whole album it was a real treat to listen to. So thanks for bringing it up.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was 2023's Memento Mori by Depeche Mode, which was Matt's pick for this week. We'll go ahead and put a big fat bow on it by wrapping up and talking about my pick for this week. It's Whatchu Spinnin', episode 65. Hell yeah. Well, it's been a great time talking about N.E.R.D. and revisiting Depeche Mode. Shout out to episode 32 when we covered Violator, their album from 1990. The first time we mentioned them.
It's all I ever wanted.
And all I ever needed is Here in My Arms. And all I ever wanted was to bring up this album, which is 2017's 1,000 Mile Stare by Incendiary. Some great New York hardcore. Shout out to random comedy podcasts that...
Yeah, I was going to say, how do you find these guys?
So I am very, very into, stand-up comedy, and so therefore I listen to a lot of comedy podcasts, and these two comedians, Ian Finance and Jordan Jensen, have a podcast called Being Ian with Jordan, and they're both huge into hardcore music, and they had Rob Nobile, the guitarist, and Dan Lamelli, the drummer from Incendiary on. They're huge Incendiary fans. They have a tattoo of the product of New York. Like, they both have got matching tattoos of that coffin logo. And I was listening to their podcast and saw they were on, and I was like, I don't know who the fuck Incendiary is, but cool, we'll listen to it. And I liked it, and I was like, oh, they have like good banter, like these guys are kind of funny, let me listen to their music. And they had just put out an album last year as well, in 2023. And for some reason I was like, fuck that. What do they got? I was like, what did they put out before that? Mm-hmm. And so I landed on this, and the rest is history. I said, forget about their most recent one. Went back and listened to it. It is a banger as well. But I just hopped right over that, went to 1,000 Mile Stare, and I just couldn't get enough of it. So shout out some random ass podcast.
That's cool. Oh.
Yeah. I could not get enough of it either, man.
Yeah.
I think I listened to your album the most, and I liked your album the most, even out of mine. I didn't like mine. I wasn't listening to mine as much as I was listening to yours. Really good, real hardcore. I love that about the genre, that it kind of feels like, in a way, there is, but there isn't structure. Like, it kind of jumps through sections, and there's different parts, and there's breaks, and sometimes they're harder, sometimes it's slower. Mm-hmm. But it's just goes by, dude. I listened to the album twice when I was working out through the full hour. Fast. Yeah, it's really fast, and it's like 25,
27.
Yeah, it's really short. Mm-hmm. Each track, it's all killer, no filler. Mm-hmm. Like, everything on the album is super good. Mm-hmm. I didn't PR, but I had amazing workouts. I had fantastic workouts listening to this. So thank you.
Of course.
Really, really thank you.
Of course. No, it's something else, man. But what do you think?
Lyrically, I was amazed. Like, he sounds like Zach from Rage, and I was throwing off a little bit. I'm like, what am I listening to? But like, technically, it's like a tech death Rage. Like, it just is so good. Mm-hmm. Musically, it's it's got everything into it. Drumming, bass, everything. Mm-hmm. I kept going back to his vocals because I felt like his lyrics were very prominent and meaningful in a sense. I felt like this album was very like, I don't know, you could put it on when you're working out, you could put it on when you're driving, you could put it on at any time. Like, it inspired me in a way. Like, it didn't make me aggressive at all. And I appreciate that about heavy music when I'm able to listen to it and like like unwind a little bit.
Yeah.
This album all week did that for me to a T. And that was great.
Yeah. I'm glad that you say that because I think it's like the earworm riffs, you know?
It must
like,
be. I don't know. It's yeah.
Like you start out the album with just like that slow fade in of that like feedback, you know, but then songs like Hanging from the Family Tree start out and it's like every time that song would come on and I was driving, like by the third time I heard it, I knew the riff because I would just be driving and I'd be like da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, like singing, just like doing that along to the riff because I'm like the music part of it outside of the lyrics are catchy enough, but the music to it is just such an earworm to me that I was like, dude, I couldn't get that, just that intro to Hanging from the Family Tree, that riff is just, anytime I hear it, I'm like, like I can't help but like just sing along to it. It's insane. And then the breakdowns are nasty. Like it's just the whole thing top to bottom. Like there's not a single moment that doesn't just captivate you. And it's 10 songs over 27 minutes.
It's insane. It's so
which
fast.
Is nuts. Yeah. It doesn't make any
And when a band
sense.
is able to like round out the album with a song like Poison, I think that like encapsulates everything on that album song-wise. And to throw that on as your last song, it was so good. I was like, this should have been on before that, but I get it.
Right.
It was such a good way to end the album. And I love when bands are able to do that and find their sound and find a song like, let's put this at the very end.
Yeah. Like
because it'll have them come right back to the beginning, and that's what I did. After I heard that, I was like, "Fuck, dude, why is it?" And so I went back to it. And kept going back and back.
Right. It's the only time that Thousand Mile Stare is even said is the opening line to that. Is the opening line to Poison is got 1,000 Mile Stare looking back, and it's like Jesus, like we didn't hear those three words, and that's the title of the album. We didn't hear that at all, and. Just that drum intro, that
fast pace.
I want to see these guys live. That would be an insane show. I wouldn't want to be in that mosh pit. I just stand back and watch. But, man,
dude,
be cool to see.
I was interested, and I was looking at a couple of different videos of their live shows. Nuts, dude.
Yeah.
Nuts. There's just like a hole in like the middle and they have people in the front, but people will like run across the stage and like they're performing, they're playing their guitars, and then you just have 5 people just jump up on stage and run across and dive and like they're punching and kicking and shit. I'm like, dude, yes.
Yeah.
I want to be there. Like it's insane and it's really cool, and I don't know if that's just the genre or what, but like they can do that. Like they're okay with people coming up on stage.
As long as the fans are respectful.
Of course, yeah. They have to, not get in their way, not hit someone with a guitar.
Don't mess with the performer.
Yeah. It seems like they're all respectful, and in a way, sure, they're like throwing punches and kicks, but they're not like purposely aiming for people or, diving into a crowd of just like, a little bundle of this short little person. Like, they're all respectful of it and what they're doing. And that's cool. I like that. It's like camaraderie in a way.
It is. It brings that circle together.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But so I was like, these live shows look fucking killer, dude.
Yeah, and it is like it's an aggressive but respectful environment, especially within like this scene, particular with like this kind of music, is because a lot of them are like straight edge, like completely sober, like Jay chillin', like the most that they'll do is smoke cigarettes, and so they're like, hey man, it's all good. Like these hardcore shows, it's always said like it's hilarious because they'll be like, what's up, my name is cattle killer 88 and this show is sponsored by Baby Sheep Farm out in Kalispell, California. And it's like, damn, you guys are playing like the most aggressive music, but this is like a PETA approved show or something. Like, you guys are a bunch of vegans. Like, it doesn't make sense, and you guys like aren't hammered. It's so funny. And then like the fans like are kind of the same way. And just like to go back to the music of this, it's wild, thinking about it, like Front Toward Enemy, songs like that, where the riff is. The main riff throughout that song is basically like if you look at any other genre, any other artist, that would be a breakdown riff. Like it would just be, okay, we're going to do this for 30 seconds of our song and then we're going to move on from it. They're like, no, let's do the opposite and build a whole song around this da 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 da. And it's like
even a track like The Product Is You, like lyrically, like that is so important, and like the way they throw that out there on the album is just like the music they blend with that. I don't know.
It's
if you listen to that song lyrically, like unless if you don't get it, you don't get it. But like, fucking
lyrically they do have like very what's the word? It's very progressive. Some of the things,
Yeah,
some of their
a little
lyrics,
bit.
very progressive. But man, I love this album, dude.
Yeah, I'm glad that you guys do. It's impressive from start to finish. You know, like I played even like what would be considered like the deep cuts. I feel like Poison is one of those, like, you know, because it's at the end of the album. It's definitely not in like their Spotify top 5. It's one of my personal favorites. But my like Hard Truths Cut Both Ways, that's a song I played earlier. Like there's lines where it's like even the sharpest sword will eventually rust, and it's like Jesus Christ. Like there's one-liners throughout, and you know, it's like clearly talking about it almost makes too much sense that he sounds like Zach from Rage, is because the lyrical content is very much the same, you know? But it's like, hey, kind of crazy that like music like this can be relevant in two different times. You know, maybe shit really hasn't, that's not what we do on this podcast. Maybe shit hasn't changed since the 90s, okay? That's all I'm saying. But
he keeps it more relevant to the US, though, I think. But like his lyrical content. Where Zach is like all over the place.
Yeah, Zach was
shit we don't even know about. Like,
Zach was
that shit happened. Thanks, Zach. Okay, I'll go look into that.
Yeah, I don't think I knew about Fidel Castro until I heard Bulls on Parade. Like,
Exactly.
It's like, Jesus Christ, Cuba's got a whole thing going on.
Jesus. Okay,
Where's that again?
Yeah,
but yeah, man, I'm so glad that you guys liked it, because I was like, again, I was trying to get myself. Last episode, I was trying to get myself to not bring this up. I was like, I've been kind of on a heavy streak. Let me pull out of it. And then I was like, no, I gave in, because this album, I think it's fantastic. I think it deserves this recognition and so much more. Shout out Incendiary. I wish they would tour more and come to, you know, maybe the West Coast. They kind of stick to their East Coast. Shout out. I do love, you know, hometown boys though. You know, hey. They're like, hey, we love New York.
Floater.
Yeah, we love Floater. So, hey, I feel like we might have discovered, like, Long Island's Floater, to where we might never get to see these guys live. But somehow, we found the East Coast equivalent to Floater, which is kind of sick.
Cool.
But with all that being said, I'll go ahead and start us off. Top threes. Honorable mentions for me, Poison, that drum intro with that droning guitar riff, and then got 1,000 Miles Stare looking back. Second honorable mention, Front Toward Enemy. That oncoming war breakdown at the end. Holy hell. Too nice. Number 3, Fact or Fiction. I feel like that's kind of a slept on song. It's got a really like thrash / speed metal kind of breakdown in it that I really like. Number 2, Hanging from the Family Tree. That riff will just be in my head for the rest of my life. And number 1, Hard Truths Cut Both Ways. Fantastic song, great lyrics. Incendiary. Check them out.
Okay.
Wow. I almost have the same top 3 as you, but I'll change it.
No, keep it.
Honorable mention, Poison. Also, when you that was also kind of one that I swept under the rug initially, and when you brought it up again, I'm like, let me listen to it. It's fucking fantastic. And then also Still Burning. I love that as an intro track. Fantastic. Number 3, Front Toward Enemy. Love that song, and that song on their shows when I was looking at the videos was probably the hypest, one of the hypest. Number 2, Hanging from the Family Tree also.
Yep.
And then my favorite song was No Purity.
No Purity.
That's a great track.
Great.
Yeah. Before I dive into my top 3, listen to this band. Like, if you like hardcore of any kind, like, listen to this band. They're great. Like, you'll become a fan instantly. All right. Honorable mention, sorry. Sell Your Cause. Number 3, The Product Is You. Lyrically amazing, and that track shreds. That's fucking great. Number 2, No Purity, and then, like the boys were saying, number 1, Poison. Like, I kept coming back to it. Like, it rounded out the album for me. This band is great. I'm going to dive into their catalog a little bit more, and if they ever come to Eugene or Portland, we should go.
Yes. Wholeheartedly agree. I'm so glad that you guys liked this as much as I did. But that was Incendiary's 1,000 Mile Stare from 2017, which was my pick for this episode 65 of Whatchu Spinnin. We'll be right back to let you know what's coming next time. But for now, it's Whatchu Spinnin, episode 65. See ya. But let's go ahead and tell the folks what's coming up for episode 66 of Whatchu Spinnin'. And we go in the order that we talked about today's content with. So that means my main man, Jake, you're up, pal.
Yeah.
Hit him with it.
Been a while since we touched on this genre, but
Oh, I like it.
Superfly.
Nice.
Curtis Mayfield, 72.
Hell yeah.
I'm gonna need to rewatch the movie just to
I like the
back
scenes
from
from
the movie.
those scenes from the movie.
Yeah, scenes from the movie.
I love it.
Pretty cool. Soundtrack goes to it is phenomenal.
It's a great soundtrack.
Yeah.
Maybe we do a little content. Maybe we sit and watch it together.
Oh, well, that's an idea. Yeah,
That could be an idea.
I like that.
If not next, or not if not when we cover it, we make that a thing. We'll make that a thing somehow.
Mm-hmm.
But sounds great. Superfly, Curtis Mayfield. What you got? Man.
You know how we like to spin the genres. Complete opposite. 1989 Ministry. The mind is a terrible thing to taste. I'm going to see Ministry and Gary Newman in a couple weeks at the McDonald's. Wanted to bring this album up because this is the best album that they ever made, in my opinion.
Hell yeah.
Ministry. The mind is a terrible thing to taste.
Ministry. I was gonna ask you about that. I saw that show advertised recently, or like saw the poster for it, and I was like, oh shit, Matt's going to that. Are you stoked or what?
Yeah, I'm gonna sit with Heath from OCCU. Him and his friends have a section. I'm like right in the middle of them.
Are you serious?
Oh,
That's
I just
sick.
bought one ticket.
Nice.
We're on the balcony, just watching it all.
Oh man, that's so sick, man. I'm glad that.
That's awesome, dude. He's cool. He's cool.
Yeah, and Gary Newman and
I've already seen
Ministry.
Gary, met him in person. Great guy. It'd be good to
Fuck
see
yeah.
Ministry. I've been on my bucket list.
Yeah. So you're more excited for Ministry this time around? Hell yeah, that'll be sick. And third up is me. I'm going away from the aggressive stuff as far as like metal goes, but I guess there's some aspects of this that could be considered aggressive. I'm going with 2014's Wolf Girl by Machine Girl. Some like industrial beats and breaks type stuff. Really experimental, really out there. There's a couple of just fantastic songs on there. I just want to talk about it. I think it's worth talking about. Like, it's interesting. Mm-hmm. It's interesting to me. So I want to get your guys' pick on it, or opinion on it. But yeah, this is going to be great. Curtis Mayfield, fantastic. Ministry rocks. Machine Girl, fantastic. And all three of those are all over the fucking place as far as genre goes. Mm. So that's going to be badass. But anyway,
typical episode. Whatchu Spinnin', baby.
That is kind of the thing around here, huh? But anyway, Matt, thanks for hosting.
Anytime.
Jacob, thanks for coming as always. Thank you both for always wanting to be a part of this. We're almost 2 years into this.
Holy cow.
We'll go ahead and talk about that a little bit more once we get closer to it. But for now, this has been Whatchu Spinnin' episode 65.
Shout out Dimebag.
Shout out Dimebag. R.I.P. Go ahead and find us on Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify at Whatchu Spinnin'. If you're seeing this, you know how to spell it. That's for sure. Go ahead and follow me personally on Instagram at Dorian Dilly, at Vinyl Tables over there, and then just at Whatchu Spinnin'. Anyway, we'll catch you next time. I'm Dorian. That's Jake. That's Matt. Peace out. Stay cool. Stay warm. Stay hydrated.